Back in our Is Chess Actually Good video, I talked about the attitude that many have towards that game as being for the smarty smart elite, while us thickos who might have once accidentally called a pawn a prawn and have never really lived it down, couldn't really get on board with it. Since making that video, I've actually played a lot of chess and found it incredibly accessible, smashing my preconceived notions that it's not for dummies like me, although I have yet to win a game since I beat Blair. My brother actually bought me a load of chess books to help me with my game. Spoiler, they've yet to help. But while chess requires you to read the board, adapt on the fly, plan moves ahead and force errors on your opponent, Scrabble just requires you to know words and be able to make words out of the garbled letters in front of you. Its original creator invented Scrabble to be a game of skill and luck, but experienced players will tell you that it's just a game of memory. New Zealander Nigel Richards won the 2015 French Scrabble Championships despite not being able to order lunch in the language. He just spent 9 long weeks memorizing the French Scrabble dictionary. While you can get lost reading various books about chess strategies, with Scrabble, you just need one tone. It's a game of words, it's a game of memory of those words, but is Scrabble actually good? Before we get into this video, I'd like to thank you for clicking on it in the first place. Please do give this channel a subscribe, enable notifications because it really helps us out. Thank you very much. After being another victim of the Great Depression of the 1930s and losing his job, Alfred Butts tried various avenues to make some cash while living in New York City. He wrote articles, he penned stage plays, he sold paintings, but always found himself out of pocket. His next big idea was to make a game, and after extensive research felt that something too tricky like chess didn't have mass market appeal, but rolling dice and moving around a board on, say, Monopoly relied too much on randomness. Instead, he wants to make a game, then named Lexico, to be about the player searching and finding the answers themselves. The idea was simple. Get a bunch of letters and then you have to make 9 to 10 letter words based on the anagram in front of you. The creation of Lexico, though, is perhaps more extensive than his research because he found a problem with the game almost immediately. When you're trying to make 9 to 10 letter words from anagrams picked at random, what's to stop a player ending up with a selection of consonants and no vowels? So Butts spent a painstaking amount of time trawling through newspapers to count the amount of times each letter appeared, creating a series of index cards and spreadsheets which he could then use to formulate the frequency of each letter to determine how many of those letters would make up the 100 tiles available. Sadly for Butts, no one wanted to publish his game, so he self-published it, and it didn't sell. In his first couple of years, less than 100 copies were sold. The game was costing him money, not making it. So he made some tweaks, the first of which came with adding a board to play on, which was akin to a crossword puzzle of squares that you fill out yourself. He also added the now famous double and triple word scores and gave letters certain scoring values. Common letters like A and E are worth 1 point, while the more obscure letters like Q and Z scored you higher. He renamed it Criss Crosswords and it didn't sell. In the end, he just gave up. The process of making a game with no reward simply wasn't worth it. The story of Scrabble could end there, but in 1947, a man named James Brunot got involved, having played a copy of Criss Crosswords. He was looking for a new business venture so he could escape the rat race and spend some time with his family. He acquired the rights to the game, spent money on hiring local woodworkers to make a more sophisticated letter tile, renamed it to Scrabble, and it still didn't sell. He did sell more copies than Butts, but was still losing money. By 1952, sick of making the game out of his family kitchen, Brunot was ready to give up. The story of Scrabble could end there, but according to legend, Jack Strauss, the president of Macy's, played the game on vacation and was shocked to learn that his store didn't carry it. The story goes that he made a huge order for Scrabble, and when the other shops heard about this order, they also placed huge orders because they figured that Macy's knew something that they didn't. The demand for Scrabble forced production from Brunot's kitchen to an old school, and even then they couldn't keep up with the demand. Shello and Writer licensed the game in 1953, and even they struggled to keep up. Famously, Harriet Writer thought that Scrabble was a nice little game that would sell well in bookstores. But by the end of the following year, 4 million copies of Scrabble were sold. The game's success continued into the 1960s and 70s and was eventually bought by Coleco in 1986. It's now, of course, owned by Hasbro in the US, who acquired the rights when they acquired Coleco, who went bankrupt in 1989. In the UK, the game had been published by Spears since the 50s, but the rights were acquired by Mattel when they acquired Spears. The game has been turned into a TV show, various video games, and a souped-up version called Super Scrabble, which has a much larger board and was released in 2004. But for the most part, Scrabble has remained the same as it always has, with no real gimmicks or plastic gizmos sold to jazz it up, which is surprising because it's owned by Hasbro. Broadly, Scrabble has remained the same, but there have been some updates and revisions along the way since 1953. You can now play words parallel and immediately adjacent to existing words, provided all of the crossing words forms are valid. The 1976 changes include players being allowed to pass on their turn, but there would be a loss of turn penalty if someone challenged you and you did have an acceptable play. And in 1999, a new rule stated that a tile could be replaced until the play had been scored. The rules of Scrabble are really quite simple. You place all the tiles face down on a table, then each player selects one, and the closest to the start of the alphabet begins the game, with blanks taking precedence over the letter A. That was a 1976 edition. You then draw 7 tiles and, in turn, place words on the board. These can be placed horizontally or vertically, with blank tiles representing any letter of your choosing. You then score that word based on the number on the tiles, with blanks giving you 0 points and adding any additional multipliers from the board. You then draw the number of tiles you just placed to bring you back up to 7. Tiles cannot be shifted after scoring, and blanks, which can be any letter, must remain as the letter they were when they were first played. You can pass or discard a number of tiles and draw new tiles of the same amount. Play ends when there are no tiles left in the bag, or when all possible plays have been made and every player has 2 consecutive passes. At the end of the game, you total up your score, and whoever has the most wins. Words have to be 2 or more letters, but you can add letters to previously placed words to make new words. For example, someone here has played the word skate because it's the 90s, they're cool, and they're playing Tony Hawk's. I could add an S to this to make skate, or I could even add a D to make skated, or I could even add, there we go, board to make skateboard. However, if I'm playing a new word that touches an existing word on the board, it must also have new words in there of 2 or more letters. In the skate example, I could play athlete above the T and the E of skate, which would also make at and t. So I'm now making 3 words, and I would get a score for all 3 of those words that I've just made. But what if you disagree with the words that I just played? You may think that at isn't an acceptable word, thinking I'm trying to claim it's either the first or second half of an all-terrain armoured transport. Well, that's where we consult the Scrabble Dictionary. This one was published by Collins, which is the official UK Scrabble dictionary. You Americans have yours published by Merriam-Webster. Amazingly, despite the similarities of our languages, there are major differences between the UK and US dictionaries. For example, we do have more languages featured in ours, but more importantly, the UK dictionary also kept in all the swear words. If you play Scrabble in a UK tournament, you can play f***er, f***ers, face, faces, head, heads, f***ing, f***ings, f***off, f***offs, f***s, f***up, f***ups, f***wit, f***wits, and fusion. Oh no, that last one's a type of seaweed. Hasbro's US dictionary of choice, however, removed all of those swear words, as well as offensive and racist terms, saying that the dictionaries are available in schools and
won't somebody please think of the children?
This Collins dictionary has about 70,000 more words than the Merriam-Webster equivalent. And as I said, part of that is because the UK dictionary has a multitude of languages in there, while the US one only has British, American, and Canadian, but also because our dictionary has 28 ways of saying shit. Some US players have found this frustrating because they have to learn 70,000 new words to compete in a British tournament, and then they've got to forget those 70,000 words when they go back to playing in the US because those words are no longer acceptable. Some US players have petitioned Hasbro to allow the Collins Dictionary to be used in tournament play, which has been okayed on a couple of occasions.
There are very few people out there in the Scrabble world that have made more of a point than I have to be able to switch back and forth between the US dictionaries and the international one. I play a lot of word games, so some of the word games that I play are the North American dictionary, right? So even non-Scrabble games. So it's really important for me personally that I be able to switch back and forth. And the dictionaries are incredibly inconsistent in which words are good. Like, for example, I can tell you that 2 of the following words are only acceptable in the International Scrabble Dictionary. I'm going to say 4 words, and 2 of them are only acceptable in the International. Westmost, eastmost, northmost, southmost. 2 of those 4 words are only acceptable in international Scrabble play. Why? Why would that be? It doesn't make any sense. But if you are actually going to be committed to keeping the dictionaries straight between the North American and international, you have to know stuff like that. And it's really not the fun part of being a Scrabble player.
So what this means is that Scrabble, it's less of a game of skill and luck. It's less a game of being known how to make words out of nothing. It is a memory game. It's not Street Fighter 2, it's Super Punch-Out. You know, in Street Fighter, you have to learn how to control your characters and know when and how to pull off their special moves and combos, but in Punch-Out, it requires you to remember the patterns of your opponent in order to win and advance. For experienced players, Scrabble has no words, it just has points.
Do you think it is fair to say that in a game of Scrabble, words have no meaning?
That is a great question. It's one that we're actually grappling with quite a bit in our community right now. I think I see both sides of it as a very long time tournament player that got into Scrabble because I like word games. Originally, my game of choice was Boggle. And from there, that was my gateway into Scrabble. When you're actually trying to tease out how do I play Scrabble as optimally as I can, the meanings of the words really do fall away. They're completely unimportant to the decision-making calculus on a turn-to-turn basis within a game of Scrabble. You're not thinking about what the words mean. You're thinking about what letters do they use, how much do they score, what letters am I leaving over for next turn to set myself up well to have a really good flow from one turn to the next. I can definitely say that as a longtime tournament player, the only time that I think about meanings is when I'm not necessarily sure whether a word is a verb or a noun, and can I put a D at the end of it to make it a verb? Can I pluralize it, or is it an adjective? I'm not, the actual definitions of the words that we're playing really does recede in importance as you start to concern yourself more with playing the game, quote unquote, as it's meant to be played.
To put my tiles out on the board, I have never enjoyed playing a game of Scrabble. I don't think I've got the mind for it. For someone who once wrote a book and, the script for this video, I don't do words good. I'm also terrible at anagrams, which means I can't see potential words in front of me or on the board. And the more words get on the board, the less options I can see. I'm also bad at math, so you won't see me applying to be on Countdown anytime soon. But you know what? Let's see if that changes when I play a game of Scrabble against my good friends Adam and Laurie.
It's big boy Luke Owen's go. What
is it? Oh, am I up first? Am I?
You're up first. What is so obviously you got to play in the middle. What are these? What's the key for what's double word score? What's triple word score?
Triple word score is red. Double word score is pink. Triple letter score is dark blue. double letter score is the light blue.
So if I go, Mike.
How did you find that out, Laurie?
I just have played a lot of Scrabble.
Oh, okay.
Uh-oh.
I'm not good at it. I've just played a lot recently.
Fucking banging, mate. Straight in there.
Oh, that's
14
really good.
points.
That's the Tile Kings go.
Dealt. I've got the dictionary behind us just in case we do need it.
It's cheating. It's cheating is what that is.
Well, if I've got a contested word, Adam, if there's something you're going to play that I want to challenge.
I'm going to play some absolutely bananas words. Absolutely.
Where I struggle with Scrabble is I'm not very good at anagrams, so that's a problem. But also, I can't I can't make words from things that are already on the table. I can't sort of see those letters and include those within my own.
Okay.
Aria.
Yeah.
Just curious what it says. Love having this dictionary. Generally, I sometimes just flick through it.
Dixie.
Boom.
Ooh, very good.
Oh, me again.
Whistling Dixie. Right. That is a X, so that's an 8 on, I believe, a double letter score.
Yeah, you have overtaken me.
Yeah, boys.
There.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the thing about Scrabble. It's just whether you get on the word scores. Ultimately, it's not about what nice word you put down, which is what annoys me about it.
Oh, you're going to put down the nicest words. All
I like
of yours
to put
going
down.
to be
I like to put down nice. I like to put down
soliloquy.
nice words. Yeah.
Okay.
No, none of that.
No, I'm holding out for Chi.
Chi, of course. Yeah.
Just gonna get Chi. Bang Chi on the triple word score, then you'll win.
I can play you there. I can do.
Oh, you can just do that.
Is he playing knob?
Oh, it's not a valid word. Bugger. I thought I could do knobbed, and it wouldn't. But it won't count.
What does knobbed mean?
Like a knobder. Like I thought that
A knobder. You don't want to be a knobder.
I can do.
No further questions, Your Honor.
He was and always will be a knobder.
Banged. It's a similar thing. And also got some points. Look at that. 42 points there, Adam.
I'm absolutely furious that you've given that much free space on the board to Laurie. Look at all the options he's got there.
Yep, and he's just going to do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, just to bring himself
cheeky.
back into the game.
Zah.
Cheeky.
As in a zigga-ziggar.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. Yeah, that makes sense. Does this work? It does. What's left?
Got it.
What's left?
Adam is just placing words at fucking random and getting away with it.
Is it abbreviation leper?
Lepta.
No, that's lesbian. Lep. Lep. Dialect word for leap.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, look, if you have an S,
Mm-hmm.
it's a very easy place to play in the top right
it?
corner. Yeah, you can get on the triple word score if you've got 5 letters that end in an S.
But yeah, I mean, that's kind of actually where I'm at the moment. But I need to try and
Help him, Laurie.
I'm trying to make that work.
I'm trying to make that word happen. Well, just make sure just make sure it's a word that no one can stick something on the front of to get a triple word score.
Nailed it, mate. Boom.
Definition not available. What the f*** are you putting James on the board for? That is insane. What? No. James?
That work?
Famous band from Manchester.
Famous Bible.
I thought names weren't allowed.
I'm pretty sure they're not.
Oh no! I actually, I'll be honest with you. At first, I thought I was spelling jams, and then jambus. Oh, James. Okay, it says James. Noun. Gemmy.
Gemmy, as in like covered in gems.
Yeah, it was in Gemmy. So if I go to Gemmy, maybe that would give me a definition.
That's just going to say James.
Gemmy, short steel crowbar used by burglars.
Oh, a Jimmy, yeah.
Oh no, yeah.
It's a James.
A James. They call him Jimmy or James. Well, that's
well. There you go.
It?
That was actually the biggest play that I had as well. I'm bloody thrilled by that.
Oh, there you go. They got to play a word. Fop.
Very nice.
Tick.
Habitual spasmodic muscular movement. Oh, all right. Jesus.
We all miss her.
People's princess. Fucking hell.
Just won a Golden Globe.
Where can I put this H?
Is that all you've got left, an H?
All I have is a lonely H. That is not a word. Is that a word? Is that a word? Is that a word? Is that a word? Oh, that is a word. There you go.
Oh, game over. What? I lost? Oh, smeg. I lost by 18. I lost by 8 points. God dang it. What did you have?
I put the H on tick,
tick.
to make Titchmarsh.
So Adam ended with 246, Laurie with 189, and myself with 181. Laurie, is Scrabble actually good?
Not in that format, no. That is too meta game breaking, I think. To be able to just put things down and have it tell you whether it works or not. It removes the knowing words bit of Scrabble.
Adam, what about you?
No, I don't think Scrabble's actually good. It's fine. Like it's periodically fun when you get a word and you're like, oh yeah, I could do that. Boom. But the amount of downtime in this game, it's real boring.
Nanograms is much better.
Yeah,
well, genuinely, yeah, it actually is. No, it's just not like it's I respect the game. Obviously, people who are very good at it, big vocabularies, sure, fine. It's just not that exciting, and I would not choose to play it over most games. So I would say no.
We took this question to our YouTube community, who seem to be more positive on the game than Adam and I, with 63% voting that it is actually good. With that said, a troll through the comments reveal a more negative perception than we've had on previous episodes of this series, and they brought up something I hadn't previously considered.
I have one of the worst cases of dyslexia. I was told I'd never read or write, and was told to not bother trying to learn. This is one game that's helped me. However, I don't normally win.
Personally, I do not think Scrabble is actually good. I feel like it shames people who isn't the best spellers. Every time I play it, I feel unequipped and at a disadvantage.
For what it is, Scrabble is an enjoyable game. It emphasises the ability instead of luck, however, which can put players either at a drastic advantage or a large disadvantage.
Scrabble expanded my vocabulary and made me more confident as a youth to read those deep in-context plot books like Lord of the Rings and the such.
As someone who is dyslexic, this game is hell. My girlfriend, who's an English student, makes me play this with her friends and family. I consider this bullying. Sad face emoji.
It's not exactly accessible as a pure game, but it's very well designed and has a really great mix of party game creativity and serious game strategy.
But there were comments in there from people who love the game. One person even wrote that they couldn't think of a single flaw in Scrabble. Another wrote about the times that they spent playing it with their nan and the happy memories that's associated with it. It's the Monopoly effect of, it's good because I've got happy memories of playing it. One of the first Christmases I had away from my family, we played Scrabble down in Hastings, and while I didn't enjoy the game because I was made to look proper thick in front of my wife's parents, I do look back on that evening with some fond memories. but I don't think that makes it a good game. One of the constant things in the feedback was, this is Scrabble but better. Laurie mentioned Bananagrams during our playthrough, which is a wickedly fun game. Gareth Batal in a comment mentioned Quirkle, which is far more accessible because it's colours and shapes. There's Paperback, which is like a deck building version of Scrabble and is a lot of fun. For me, these feel like proper games. As Jessica points out in this comment, Scrabble rewards the wrong kind of literacy. It values quantity over quality, asking you to know a large assembly of letter combinations without any of the context that makes a large vocabulary valuable. It's more like a memory game than anything else, and shames people who associate words differently.
It sort of combines the decision-making process from several different types of games, all contained within one Scrabble game. You get all of these different approaches to how am I going to make my move. Every game of Scrabble actually starts out as a game of imperfect information, kind of like poker, where you're doing the best you can with very limited information about what are the letters I'm likely to draw next, what are the letters that my opponent has. At the start of a Scrabble game, you can know almost no information of that type. But as a Scrabble game progresses from beginning to end, more and more tiles are played on the board, and you can do more to sort of piece together what your opponent is likely to have, use that to influence your decision making, and then obviously at the very end of a Scrabble game, when there are no tiles left in the bag and it's almost over, you actually are making your moves the same way that you would in a chess game, where if you're doing your bookkeeping correctly, or if you're playing online and it's doing it for you, you can actually see the letters that your opponent has and calculate lines of action just like you would do in chess, where the chess, commentators and players are always talking about, well, there's this line and this line. You can do the same thing in a game of Scrabble. So I love that every individual game of Scrabble actually moves along that spectrum of imperfect information to perfect information. It's a really interesting experience that's sort of a hybrid of some of these other popular games that people love to play.
We talked at the start of this video that Scrabble players just memorize dictionaries in order to compete. To me, that's not a game, certainly not a fun one. And although I do have fond memories of playing Scrabble in Hastings or against my own family while on holiday in Sweden, I can't say that Scrabble is a game that I'm going to want to play again. When the game ended with Laurie and Adam, that was it for me. It didn't make me want to re-rack, it didn't make me want to take the physical copy downstairs and play against my wife. It will now just go back into this cupboard, only to be brought out again when my in-laws come to stay. But I'll be wanting to play Bananagrams. That's not to say that Scrabble is a bad game. It's actually very functional and pretty well balanced. The rules are simple and easy to explain, and it can zip along at a good pace if things fall in your favor. But there are long moments where nothing is happening as you just stare at your letters looking for a word to come to you, or you're waiting on someone else who is doing the same thing. In our game of Scrabble, I had nearly 20 minutes of thinking time throughout my turns. Laurie and Adam each had 10. So that's 40 minutes of a game where nothing happened.
Is Scrabble actually good?
Of course, I'm going to say that it is good. I think when a game's been around forever and remains in the cultural conversation, there's something good about it. There's something timeless about it that transcends, the latest fad. And Scrabble, to a lesser extent than chess, but still a pretty strong extent, has been around for 80 years. It's been in movies. It's been a part of our cultural discourse for that long for a reason. It's because there is something timeless and magical about the game of Scrabble that stands the test of time, and it's been here for 80 years, and I have every expectation it'll be around for 80 more, or who knows how much longer. One of my favorite things about Scrabble is, regardless of your skill level, it has those great moments from game to game that sort of give you that eureka feeling that keep you coming back, playing more. So, yep, I would say Scrabble is a good game, and I would go further and say it is a great game, a timeless game.
And what's interesting about reading the comments and feedback is that is Scrabble actually good seems to be a binary answer. There's no middle ground. There's no one saying, yeah, it's all right. It's either people who love words saying they love it, or people who don't particularly love language or are dyslexic saying that it's not good. And I think I fall into the latter category. The most fun I had in the game with Adam and Laurie was looking up the words that we played in the dictionary, and if the funnest part of Scrabble is the dictionary, then surely Scrabble isn't actually good.